Let's talk now to Dan Stiles, who researches elephant conservation and joins us live from just outside Mombasa in Kenya, and Tania McCrea Steele, who is the enforcement manager with the International Fund for Animal Welfare. She's with me here in the studio. Thank you both very much for joining us. Dan, if I could start with you, just give us an idea of what you've seen on the ground.
Well, I've been conducting ivory market surveys since 1999 throughout Africa and throughout Asia, including China, Southeast Asia, Europe, and the USA. And I've seen an awful lot of ivory. And since I started in the business, I've seen the prices absolutely skyrocket. Mainly in Asia is where all the activity is going on, not so much in the USA and Europe, but Asia is a real problem.
So poaching's getting much worse?
Yeah, it is. It took off probably starting around 2006, 2007.
How does ivory get out of the country and to its destination?
The main way is shipment in containers on ships. Small amounts go by air, where they get people to carry them in suitcases, personal luggage. But the big quantities are going in shipping containers, usually hidden under timber or other types of products.
Tania, what's your experience when you've been to China to look into what's happening with the ivory trade?
We have investigators on the ground in China, and what we're finding is since the trade has been legalized, we're finding the same things as your reporters. Our investigators are going into shops and asking if they can purchase ivory and being told that they could purchase it at a discounted rate if they don't buy the certification. We're also seeing that where there is one shop that is trading legally, there's about 22 shops around there that are trading illegally. So the legal trade is providing a smokescreen for the illegal trade, and we're very concerned about the cost to elephant survival because of this trade.
Are you seeing the government doing anything about it?
Well, we welcome the fact that the government destroyed their seized ivory of about 6 tons earlier, just before the summit. But we'd like to see the government go further. We think it's time for a ban in this legal trade. That's the only way that you're going to solve the problem. And we've polled people in China, and we found that 93% of the Chinese public would support a ban.
Is that what you've experienced too, Dan? Do you think demand for ivory in China is going up or going down?
The latest evidence I have is it's actually dropping a bit right now, but it's still extremely high, and it's a big problem. And I think lowering demand is the highest priority. That's where all the attention, money, manpower, everything should be concentrated on lowering demand. Even if it's banned, made illegal in China, it will still exist. So it doesn't solve the problem, really.
Tania, just talking about in China seeing some ivory being destroyed publicly. It was a big story in China, internationally as well. Do you think that things like that do act as a genuine deterrent?
No. Quite the contrary. In fact, there was an article in the Telegraph just 2 days ago quoting an ivory vendor in Beijing saying the crush helped them because it raised prices, caused people to go out and buy ivory.
What do you say to that, Tania?
I think the contrary. I think it sends a really strong message to people trading in ivory that if they are caught with this, they will be punished, their items will be destroyed, and that this will not be advocated by the Chinese government. They will not support this illegal trade, and we welcome that. We think there needs to be more strong messages like that. We actually polled people who'd bought ivory in China, and 60% of those people said that they wouldn't buy ivory again if it was made illegal. So a ban will work, but Dan's quite right. You can't just rely on a ban. You do need to have that coupled with enforcement, but also with opinion leaders like Jackie Chan sending out a strong message that the Chinese people are really going to listen to. It's going to resonate with them. We also found that 7 out of 10 Chinese people didn't realize that ivory came from a dead elephant. So we need to increase our public education campaign to make sure that they're aware that they're fueling the slaughter.
Yeah, and that's part of the big problems, isn't it, Dan? I mean, when I spoke to Jackie Chan yesterday, he was saying Chinese people simply don't realize, and they're much more concerned about animals than the West gives them credit for.
No, I applaud IFA for the campaigns that they're doing in China. I think they're excellent. I completely support that. And keep it up.
Thank you. Tania, there's a huge amount of publicity around this conference in London because we've got Prince Charles, Prince William, presidents of various African countries attending. But will anything real come out of it? So
what we've already seen is the US government launching their plan for how they're going to tackle wildlife crime, and they're leading from the front. They're introducing what they're calling a ban on ivory trade within the US. They're looking to reduce demand for ivory within the US, but also globally through diplomatic pressure, and they're ramping up law enforcement efforts. And what we'd like to see is other countries saying that they will do likewise by signing the declaration and committing to a ban on ivory sales, committing to destroying their seized ivory, and committing to not pushing for the sale of future stockpiles of ivory and other wildlife products.